Okay, what's up everyone? I'm going to show you now how to make a breakthrough game mode in Battlefield 6 Portal from scratch. And I mean from scratch, not even using a basic template. The only thing that I've done here is loaded up a map, which I'm assuming everybody knows how to do already. If you don't know how to do that, then you need to go back to basics and watch the basic setup tutorials on how to set up Godot first and play around a little bit before you do that. I would also suggest that you learn how to make a capture point or a working MCOM station before you go any further, because actually Breakthrough is going to be the more complex game mode to work with. So what we're going to do is we're going to ignore this map for now. What we're going to do is set our own. Look, on the left here, there is nothing apart from the static for the terrain and the assets. There is nothing, there's no spawn points, there is absolutely nothing on this map that we've done custom. But what we want to do is, we know this area here is open space and we know that this is just water. So we're just going to float a platform above that just for testing. So what we're going to do here is I'm just going to type in floor, and I know firing range 401. That's a pretty decent sized piece of land there, and I'm just going to line things up with the snap tool here. I'm just going to drag it down to the floor. I'm going to drag it up to the corner so I can actually just sort of keep it really uniform for you. Obviously when you're making a map it's not going to be as uniform for this, but this will just help with the understanding of how to get a grasp of how the breakthrough mode works. I'm going to just get that right up to the edges, just like this. That'll do, perfect. And just for the moment I'm just going to make that double size just to save me from having to drag and drop loads of them in. So we'll just say, for example, this block here is going to be the staging point for Team 1. The second block is going to be the capture area for the stage 1. This is going to be the retreat area for the enemies on stage 1. So it's always got to have 3 stages. You've got to have a deployment and moving for team 1, which moves into this second capture area. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to colour these just so it's just easier to understand. That's all it really needs to be. So we'll just turn this middle one into, let's call it blue. Enemy, let's call that red. Team 1 attackers friendly, we'll call them green. Okay, just for ease of understanding. I'm actually going to drag them up in the sky a little bit, just above the water level, so we're not really. Well, actually, we'll drag them up after we've done all of the necessary placements, because then I can move everything up at the same time, even the capture areas, etc. Okay, so at the moment we've not got anything on the map apart from these 3 floors, which I've just coloured just for the sake of understanding what we're doing. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to just drag in some HESCO barrier rows. I'm sure there's a row here somewhere. Oh no, got the wrong map here. So we want Dumbo, HESCO barrier row. Here we go. Let's just put a couple of those together, so that will help us sort of see what's going on here as well. I'll just put a row there that we can use just for the sake of knowing where those sectors are. And also just for understanding things a bit better, I'm actually just going to put a single HESCO block in each corner of each sector, just so we can, it just helps us line up our polygon volumes, which is a big role to play in how this breakthrough mode works. Okay, so let me just put those in first, and all of this is just for reference. let's just say that this is actually your custom map. You've already placed all your objects and you're ready to start working on the actual game mode itself. The neater you keep things in Godot, the much easier it is to keep a track of what you're actually doing. Okay, so we've got our 3 sectors and we've got separations with HESCOs, and what we're going to do is all of those, what I'm going to do here, I'm going to just drag them into the statics, close them off. So they're hidden in our filter list here. So the first thing that we want to do for breakthrough is, let's say these are the first 3 sections. We're going to actually just copy all of that now and turn them into a further 3 sections like this. And one more for another stage of sections like so. So we've got 3 stages. Stage 1, Stage 2, Stage 3. And we're going to close all that off and clean that up. So what we want to do here now is work on Stage 1. So what we're going to do is going to go to New, create a 3D node. Ooh. Sometimes take a while if it's the first time you've loaded. I am streaming, I've got quite a few things running at the same time as well here, so it's going to take a second just to pop up. Just bear with me. Here we go. So we're just going to select Node 3D. That's not going to do anything except for just give us a whole new little category to work with. We're going to call this, we're just going to call this Stage 1. I always put an underscore just to separate things as well. So this Stage 1 now is going to be controllable. Everything is going to be controllable in just one node. Until we get into the actual portal editor and start placing a little bit of block management, but we'll do that on a different video at a different time. This is learning how to set it up in Godot. So first things first, we need we need here again a new child node, and we're going to call this Team 1, Stage 1, no, Team 1, Spawn. You can call it HQ if you want, not really the point, because all of the HQs are going to move along the map as we progress through the breakthrough mode. So we're going to call this T1, Spawn, Stage 1, like so. And straight in there we're going to put a HQ, player spawner in, and it looks just like a flagpole. That's fine, no problem. We're going to drag that just somewhere around the centre. We'll keep everything right down the centre as we flow through the stage with the breakthrough mode, and we're just going to call this Team 1 Spawn Stage 1. Yeah, we'll call this one HQ, so just for reference, so we know that this is the actual controller point of that, and we can keep that as a node in there as well. And we want to make sure it's always in the same node, like as a hierarchy. That's the best way to do this. So we want a polygon volume now, which is the actual area. We're just going to drag it right into the centre of that. And what we can do here, why is that all the way over there? What we got here? That's a little bit odd. We'll put that somewhere properly. It's, for some reason it's put the main node, but just ignore this. If you drag the node in onto the right place at the right time, it should keep that pretty straightforward. Let's just press number 7 on our keyboard. Now we can use these grid lines here. Okay. And press number 5 back to 3D mode. And we want to drag that up, if possible. See the... There we go. That's where we want it. Get a bit more centered. Keep it centered to that line there. There we go. Just going to get rid of that. Going to get rid of that. Now I've got that in the right place. So we want the HQ to be... We just want to put another HQ back in there now. Right on the spot. Keep everything centered. So again, team 1, stage 1, HQ. And now we want to put a polygon volume in, which is the actual area. And as long as we keep everything as centered as possible like this, there we go. We don't have to do much work. We don't have to do much work there at all. And as long as we keep these little areas, we're not going to adjust them for the sake of this video. We're going to keep them all uniform, square like that, so you can further understand how these sectors will work. So we're going to call this Team 1, Stage 1, HQ, Area. So we know that there is the area that we're going to be working with. And obviously inside there we need at least a spawn point. So spawner, player spawner. Oh no, we don't want that. We want a spawn point. Not a player spawner, not an AI spawner. We want a spawn point. And we'll just drag the little man straight in. We'll just press our Q button to rotate, get the rotate tool up. Now we'll just put him there. Just make sure his feet are not dragged into the floor. What we'll do is just lift him out a little bit so you can see the shadow under the soles of the feet. That just makes sure there's no collision when they spawn in. That can affect bots especially, so make sure you lift them up a little bit, but not too much to cause fall damage when the players spawn. So there we have our HQ for Team 1 set up. So we want to make sure they're all within. Drag those nodes up into the spawn stage, okay? And now everything is uniform put together at the same time. And what we can do now is just go to HQ, go to your inspector. I'm going to change that to Team 1. An alternate team needs to be team neutral. HQ enabled. Well, you can optionally turn on vehicle spawners. We'll do that because then later down the line, once we've got the sector set up and it's all working, you can put vehicle spawners in if you want. That's no problem at all. But what we are going to do is we're going to give this an ID. So this HQ, all HQs are going to be in stages. So this one is going to be called 101, and then we're going to take this and do Control D, and we're going to drag it over to the retreat area of the first stage. Remember, this is the first stage, there's the other 2 stages. So this is now going to become the Team 2 HQ. And we're just going to rotate it just so it's completely opposite to what it was for Team 1. But what we're going to do here is obviously rename it. We're going to call this Team 2 Spawn Stage 1. We're going to call it, and then the HQ itself, Team 2 Stage 1 HQ, and then the area we're going to call that Team 2 Stage 1 Area. Spawn point, just leave that a spawn point, that's not important. Just as long as we're pretty organised with what we're doing here. We're going to go back to Team 1 few more little things that we're just going to set up for this here. We've got the object ID, so all the HQs are going to be 101, so 101. So this is going to be stage 1. Or should we make it simpler for us? No, we'll make it even simpler. We'll just call this 1 stage. So the first one is going to be for stage 1, team 1. Okay, so we go over to team 2. We'll select it here. Team 2 HQ. We're going to call this stage 1. So 1, team 2. And we're also going to change that to team 2 as well. Go back over to team 1 again. We need to set the area for this and the spawn point. So the HQ area, you just go to HQ area, click assign, and we want to set that as stage 1 HQ area. And the infantry spawn, we're going to add an element. We're only going to add 1 spawn point, but you can add as many as you want to just by dragging and dropping more of these in and then assigning them. We're just going to stick to 1. And that is stage 1, team 1 spawn point. And then the same with team 2. We're going to assign the HQ area this time. Team 2 stage 1. And add element for the spawn point, and it is under team 2 as this spawn point. There we have it. There are 2 working spawn points for stage 1. All of it is in 1 node, nice and tidy. So we can close them, they're complete. So what we want to do now is a sector. So we're going to just search for the sector, and this wants to be centered as much as possible throughout the entire sector. That not just where the capture point's going to be, but it's also going to cover the entire deployment area, the advancing area, the retreating area, and also the deployment area for the other team. So we're just going to keep that nice and centered again, just for the sake of being neat and tidy, so you can understand. So we want to keep this under stage 1 but not under a team, so we're going to actually drag this under stage 1, under its own little node. So we're going to call this sector 1. Okay, what we need to do now is define a polygon volume for that sector. And this is everything. So we're just going to, again, we are going to put this as centre as possible just for the sake of this video. But we want to drag those polygons to cover everything, the entire sector, even the main bases. So this is why I place these HESCOs, just for the sake of placing them. So just get them corner to corner, like this, and the same over this side of this sector as well, and one more over here. Now it's going to start getting complicated, so you're going to have to bear with me, because these polygons are really important on how this works. If you're going to have things like helicopters and things like that, and you want to be able to capture with helicopters and things like that, you've got to set the height. You've always got to set a height anyway, and I would always say the minimum of 12. If you've got tall buildings and things like that in some of the maps that are higher than 12, set them accordingly. But just for the sake of this video, we're going to set them at 12. In fact, just even make them 10. It doesn't matter. There's nothing higher than being 10 at the moment here. So this is in sector, and this polygon volume we've made, we're going to drag that into the sector 1 that we've made there, and we're going to call that sector 1 area whole area. That's the whole of the sector. Okay. And now we're going to go into the sector 1 that we placed here and look at these things that we need to assign. And you can imagine we've got to do these. So we're going to actually assign that sector area that we've just made. Sector 1, whole area. That's the first part done. So now it wants a retreat area. So what I'm going to do, just for the sake of this video here, is I'm going to put a few of these HESCO barriers. I'm just going to copy and paste some of these into the center, just so we can see the center point a little bit better. Alright, that's just, again, just for reference, not important. So back to sector 1. We've got the whole area, and that has been assigned. And that will show up on the map in-game with correct outlines, and anything inside it will also be shown with specific outlines and colours if you want also. But it's more important, we don't want to overlap the internal sectors, which I'm going to show you right now. So again, we're going to drag in another polygon volume right into the centre. And this is going to be our, because here it was asking for a retreat area. So the retreat area is all of this area. Okay. So again, we do not want to we want the retreat area to be the next sector. So they retreat to the next sector. So that is going to be in the next sector, which is over here. We want them to retreat as far back as here for when their new main base basically spawns in. And we're going to actually drag and drop that to the whole of this sector as well. So there we have. I'm just curious about something here. I'm just thinking I could probably just do this. Ha! Even better. And that way I can keep it. What I just did there is just literally just transformed it, made it 4 times the size. In fact, I think that's a bit too big. Let's just call it 3 times the size. No, 4's good. Fits the whole area. 4 times the size. So there we have. What we're going to do is rename this to Sector 1 Retreat Area. We're going to go back to our sector item, and we're going to assign that as the retreat area. So when they've captured this flag, the enemies have got to run all the way back to this place before it initializes the second stage, and that area will need to be empty of enemies. So the next thing it wants is a retreat from area. So a retreat from area is going to be all of this section and probably most of the capture area here, but we're going to get into the capture area in a little while because it's again something more complex to understand there. So again, I'm going to drag and drop a polygon volume in. Let's just double the size of that, put it up to 4 again like we did before, and this is going to be the retreat from area. And we want that area to be, let's just say, just halfway of this is going to be all a capture point. So let's say they've got to retreat from at least half of that point all the way back to the other retreat area. And we're going to call that sector 1 retreat from. Okay. Make sure that's all in the right place. There we go. And we're going to again assign that to the sector. So that's the retreat from area. And now we need an advance from area. So this is the opposite to the so this is basically the 2 that we need for team 1 now. So we've got 2 for team 2. So retreat area and retreat from area is always going to be team 2 based, because they're the ones retreating, and the advances are always team 1. So we need a advance from area. So that's going to be all of this section here, including their spawn. So we're going to drag that in, and again we'll just make that 4 times the size just for the sake of the video. Just saves us dragging points in place. And there we have it. Okay, and we're going to call that sector 1 advance from. Put that with the others. Go to sector and assign that polygon. Advance from. And it now wants the advance to area, which is going to be the opposite of the retreat from area. So what we could do is actually, if you want, just go to this one. We're going to just Control D that, and we're going to mirror that. We're going to drag the copy of that over to there, like that. And we're going to rename that to sector 1 advance 2. Okay, so that is the polygon. Oh, we need to assign that obviously as well. We're going to assign advance 2 area. Hang on. Yeah, advance 2 area. There we go. So there we have a basic setup for the polygons for the sector, but we're not finished yet, because in the middle of that sector there needs to be an objective. It needs to be an MCOM or a flag. And what we're going to do on this case is we're actually going to use a capture point flag. An MCOM is very similar, except it doesn't require an area for you to do anything with. So it's actually easier just to drag and drop an MCOM in there and give it an ID. But actually, we're going to make it a bit more complex, because if you just stick with that, you'll never know how to do the capture point area. So we're going to search for capture point. Drag that right in the middle. We want it to be centered. Whatever, that's fine. It doesn't matter if it's overlapping with something else. It's not going to affect the game in any way. You can drag it away if you want. We'll do that, but just drag it one side to the left. And this needs to be within sector 1 as well. We're going to just call that sector 1 capture point. And all capture points need a polygon volume as well. So we're going to search polygon volume again, put that in there, and then you can expand that to wherever you want the capture area. But we want to do the whole of this because we've got half enemies retreating and half friendlies advancing. So we want that kind of centered so it's just fair for each team at this point in time. So again, I'm just going to scale that to 4 and just keep that centered in place. And that needs to be called Sector 1 Capture Point Area. We'll call it actual capture area, actually. Just keep it easier. So there we have a setup stage 1 for breakthrough. And because we've kept everything uniformed here, what I can do now, just to make the whole editing process so much easier, is we're actually just going to select stage 1, press Ctrl D, and it's going to make a stage 2 for us. Okay? And what we can do now is literally drag that right over to the second stage. Have I got that? Yeah, there we go. So I've just dragged all. Oh, it needs to go a little bit further. A little bit further. Oh. There we go. And guess what I'm going to do again? I'm going to do Control D again. And I'm going to make stage 3. Simple as that. Because everything's already kept uniform in place. Neat and tidy, ready for us to go. The only thing that I've got to do now is a little bit of editing just here and there, just to keep that all uniform in our filter. So sector 1 is complete. Sector 1. So we want stage 2 open. Now I need to start just renaming some of these now. Just to keep that uniform, but to be honest, you don't really need to even rename them. But what you will need to do is just make sure that you've got the capture points. So we'll just open these up. So we're going to go capture points. So we know that this is capture point 1, and all the capture points. Sorry, I've done this wrong. We're going to do HQ first. So we've got stage 1 HQ at 1-1. Stage 1 team 2 at 1-2. 101. Stage 2 102. Oh, sorry, team 2 at stage 1 is 102. And then team 1 stage 2. We're going to call that 201 because it's stage 2. Team 2 of stage 2. And then stage 3, team 1 stage 3. And team 2 stage 3. Lovely. Okay. And the HQ areas also need to be renamed here. Stage 2, Stage 2, Stage 3. And Stage 3. We know that's right because we've done 4 of each there. So we'll get rid of the filters now. There we go. Stage 1, Stage 2, Stage 3. So we're going to Stage 2. That's fine. We've got any more here? Okay. So that's done there. We've copied and done a quick right, we'll close that and open up Stage 2 here. So we've got Sector 2. So we want to change that to Sector 2. 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 Okay, so we've got all of the areas all really named correctly. Close that down. So we've got the spawn points, that's a Stage 2. And Stage 2. Everything under Sector 2 should be under Stage 2. Yeah. That's done. That's all done. We'll go on to Stage 3. I'm going to call that Sector 3. Sector 3. Sector 3. It's a little bit boring to do this, but it's going to be a hell of a lot quicker than actually physically having to place them all again like we did at the start of the video. And once you've got this template built, you can drag and drop everything where you want them onto the map, any position you want pretty much, and it's already done for you. Stage 3, another Stage 1 needs to be changed to Stage 3, and there we have it. A very clean and tidy workspace for a working, which would be a working breakthrough mode. This is an extra polygon here, which I believe is going to be for what would have been a Stage 4, which we're not doing. So if I go into Stage 3, Sector 3, and go to the retreat area, there it is. We can get rid of that because nobody's retreating from Stage 3. It'll be the end of the round. So we can get rid of that. And there we have a linear breakthrough mode ready to go. So I'm going to leave this video as it is for now. And I'll do a separate video on how to set up this as a working game mode for you to actually physically play, which requires a little bit of work in the Portal editor. So I'll just briefly, if you want to set it up ready for the next video, we're going to set up a new map. What we're going to do is just go back into Godot. We're going to save our scene. And then in the inspector on the right, BF Portal, we're going to export current level to that. It's just saved it as Dumbo. It doesn't matter because I've got backups of that. I can just re-export it from the original zip file. It's not important right now. So we're going to go Manhattan Bridge, include spatial data. Now we're going to put Dumbo in there. We'll hit save, and then once you've done all of your soldier respawn times and weapons, just keep everything as standard just while you're testing. We'll go to the rules editor, and we're ready to actually initialize each stage of that, which I'll do in a separate video. So I hope this has been informative and it helps. And if you have enjoyed the video, please subscribe, because I'm going to do a lot more Portal videos in the future. And also, if you want to check out some fun on Battlefield 6, I have a published mode called Insurgency, which has been quite popular, and it's basically a custom rush map, big scale, where the rush NCOMs spawn in completely random locations, and you have to collect intelligence for you to find out where they are and things like that. And it was inspired by Squad and Project Reality, but you can find that in your server browser in the community section if you want to try that out. So that's all from me today. Speak to you soon.